Hello, welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's a review of Leicester City 2, West Ham United 2. The game just finished 2 minutes ago. Well, lots of talking points, so let's start with the first goal. Scott Vardy 1-0. What a counter-attack by Leicester City.
If he's on form, you're not stopping him, are you? And he doesn't take uh, that often to sort of show you he's on form. He just chases everything. He's an outstanding player.
Charlie, as the game was going on, did you think Leicester City were again going to win 1-0? They've done it the last 4 or 5 games in a row, 7 clean sheets out of 8 at home. Did it look, as the game was developing, what do you think, until John Moss decided to interfere with Jamie Vardy? It was looking difficult for West Ham, wasn't it? We were lacking ideas.
Yeah. Leicester are very hard to break down. 2 banks of 4. They're an incredibly hard team to break down, and they were just sitting deep and holding us off. And we look, like you said, I think that's the way to describe it. We looked like we lacked ideas. We looked like we didn't have anything quite able to unlock it like we usually do. I believed we had hope. I thought we had the players on the pitch to do something, but it was looking increasingly unlikely that anything would happen.
Scott, before the first game-changing decision, which we'll talk about in a second, do you think it was quite an even game? I don't really think either team were really controlling or creating many chances. I don't think either keeper were busy, actually.
They weren't, no. I mean, they were playing it's like watching a pinball machine, isn't it? Just fast movement, fast passing. And I could see how the game was going to go. And I tweeted, and I said, just get ugly. Just get ugly and get amongst them. We're not going to match them for pace. But as soon as that goal went in, we were chasing the game, and more space was opening up. Second half, which we'll talk about, just changed it round for us. We couldn't carry on like we were in that first half.
Well, let's talk about it now. It's not long into the second half. John Moss had a huge decision to make. Let's talk about this. Jamie Vardy, he goes past Ogbonna. He's in front of Ogbonna. It depends what perspective you take, but my view is he stopped, he knew Ogbonna was there, he jumped up in the air, threw his legs into Ogbonna to make it look like there was contact, went down, and I think he was waiting for the penalty. Looking by his facial expression, I think he thought he'd done enough to trick the referee. Charlie, what did you make of John Moss's decision to point, give a free kick to West Ham, give Vardy second yellow and say cheerio?
It was a hilarious dive. It was a bad dive. It was blatant. The referee is 100% correct. Jamie Vardy, he's ahead of him, like you say. He's aware Ogbonna is there because Ogbonna's hand is on his shoulder, probably pulling him, but not that much, basically. Jamie Vardy was away. If Jamie Vardy wanted to score, he could have scored, but he didn't. He dived. He looked down. He saw where Ogbonna's feet were. He threw his feet towards Ogbonna, was literally leaning sideways in order to get his feet as close to Ogbonna's as possible, and then just jumps in the air. It was, the more and more I see it, the funnier it gets. It's such a bad dive, and you can almost blame Jamie Vardy for Leicester's demise, because without that, they probably would have been able to hold on quite easily, but they went down to 10 and all of a sudden the game's completely changed.
Scott, what did you make of the decision then? Big decision, big call by the referee. It takes a lot to show that second. It would have been very easily for him to either, one, ignore it, or two, give the free kick to West Ham and tell Vardy to get up and carry on.
Like I said, I think he's a great player, but he doesn't need to do stuff like that. He's made himself look a fool. He's let his teammates down. He's let his team down. And he's put real pressure on coming into the run-up. Doesn't need to do it. He's made a fool of himself.
Why has he done it, Scott? Why? I know it's obviously to try and win a pen, but when you're 1-0 up, there's loads of the game left. Why? You're on a booking. Why is he putting himself in? Why is he giving John Moss the decision to make?
Desperation. Try to do it week in, week out, don't they? You see them going down like they've been shot, and they always get it. He just saw his opportunity and tried to take it. And referee, for once, saw it and called it right. Like I said, he's made a fool of himself. Why he's done that, I haven't got a clue.
But God knows. If you guys know why he's done it, you can let us know in the YouTube comments below. But let's talk about the other one he does, which really angers Leicester City fans. If he hasn't stuck the knife in, he's really twisted it here by giving the penalty to West Ham. Charlie, what about this one? It happens every game. This happens. Tugging in the box, grappling. I think Ogbonna was maybe guilty of it, which we'll talk about in a wee second. But Morgan has his arms around Reed. Can Winston Reed even get to the ball if Morgan isn't there? Charlie, what do you make of that?
It's it's difficult. I think he was on point with all the major decisions there. Some of them were very close, but I think they were correct. I think Winston Leicester are a very, very, very physical team. Let's be honest. In the box, they are huge. They will push you. They will shove you. They're hugging you most of the time. Like, they are an incredibly physical team. Reed manages to pull away from Wes Morgan. Wes Morgan can't keep up. I don't know whether Reed's going to get to the ball or not, but he pushes him. I don't know. It's difficult. I think the referee got all the major decisions right, but a lot of them were very close. But I think he got them all right. I will say that.
Scott, what did you make? Do you think that was the correct call given the pen? I mean, in my opinion, that kind of physical argy-bargy goes on at every corner. Every corner. So why has he pulled this one?
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is he was warning them all the way through. He just kept going up, warning them. At one point, he got a full-on slap on the chest, Reed, and he was just like, looking, are you going to do anything about this? Reed was very, very clever. He was playing the ref. Look at them. Watch what they're doing. He went into the player, and am I bothered? No, I'm not. Because time and time again this season, we've had decisions going against us. Reed played that, and he played him like a fool, and well done, Reed.
Yeah, I have to say that's why I think he gave it, because at that corner, like you said, it was actually Huth, I think, that was giving Reed the push in, because Huth was trying to get beside Andy Carroll, and Reed was in the middle of them trying to help Andy Carroll, and Carroll and Reed were turning around to John Moss saying, "What are you going to do? Look at them." Says continue, and then as Charlie says there, Morgan literally runs after Winston Reed, grabbing onto him. And if John Moss's eyes are on anyone in that box, it's Winston Reed, because Winston Reed, like you said, he's been calling saying, "Can you keep an eye on this?" And they fell for it. They did exactly what Winston Reed wanted. Wow, though, what a goal! The second goal, oh my God! But before it, not just a stunning strike. This is what happens when Antonio is right wing. Antonio goes by two of them, gets the byline, gets his head up. Now, yes, the cross wasn't brilliant, but it was the first time, it was one of the only times in the game we put the ball in the box that caused some sort of disruption at the Leicester back. Scott, is this what we were lacking with Antonio right back?
Listen, why are we looking round for strikers when our right back can pass to our left back who can strike like that? You know what I mean? It's just unbelievable. How many of them would you see go in like that? He just hit it perfectly on the sweet spot. Like you say, Antonio wasted, or just getting to do what he does best. I don't think he even knows what he's doing half the time. He just runs like an headless chicken, but it comes off for him, and as long as it is, but his vision on picking him out was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I think an unpredictable player is the hardest one to mark, because you don't know what he's going to do. If Antonio doesn't know what he's going to do, there's no way you can defend against him. Charlie, what a strike! Is that one of the better strikes you've seen in a long time this season?
Aaron Cresswell has the ability to score fantastic goals when he wants to. I mean, we've seen him pop up with a few before. That probably his best, I would argue, is probably his best. The fact that he has the presence of mind to take it down on his chest and then just it's over him. It's over Schmeichel as well. It's not past him, it's over him. And the ability to get the ball up and down in that short space is unbelievably good for a left back. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Well, certainly set the scenes in the away end. Unbelievable scenes there by the fans. You wouldn't mind being in there. Marlon Harewood was, so I'd like to see what he was doing in the away end. He must have been loving that strike. Straight at the other end, though, it was always going to happen. Every time something happened, Leicester fans are up in arms, asking for the referee. Now, I actually think the referee bottled this one, and that's when the ball come in and Ogbonna and Huth are next to each other. Ogbonna's got his arm around Huth's neck, I think, and I think Ogbonna pulls him together. I think that was a pen. Charlie, do you even remember that? Because I wrote this down, so you might not even remember it.
No, yeah, Ogbonna's basically hugging him like this. He's loving it. I think it's difficult. I think the referee got it right, but I think the difference between that call and the penalty we got was that Winston Reed was away. He was gone. Whether I don't know whether he would have got the ball or not, but he was gonna get on the end of it, sort of thing. Whereas I think with Ogbonna, the difference is that I don't know. It's really difficult to say. It's incredibly close call. I think it was correct. I think because it was on the entire game, and he didn't give any of them. Whereas the one he did give was when there was a bit of space. But I'm happy to be wrong. It's an incredibly close call, I think.
Yeah, but Ogbonna won the ball, so you can't say Huth wouldn't get to it because Huth was in front of Ogbonna. I could only assume that if Ogbonna didn't grab Huth, he would have got it. But if he's given the Winston Reid one, he's got to be consistent and give it at the other end. I mean, as West Ham fans, we can't complain. Take off the claret and blue specs here, and I actually think this is why, Scott, do you think this has had an impact on his 94th minute decision? Because for me, that was a soft penalty. Do you think it was a pen, Scott, that Andy Carroll brushed Schlupp there?
Yeah, I can see where you're going with it. I think he wished to give that one and then made up for it. I think that happened. It's a striker trying to make a defender's challenge, though, isn't it? And he was in the box, and taking my West Ham specs off, like you say, if that had been one of our players, I'd have expected a penalty from it.
Charlie, you've said all along John Moss has got every decision right, so I can only assume that you agree that was a penalty to Leicester City.
Essentially, yes, and I think it's because of what Scott said. I think if it was against us, I would have said it was a penalty. I think it's soft, but by the same token, he is in the area. Carroll is being clumsy, so by the letter of the law, yes, basically.
I thought the pull on Huth was more of a pen than the one that was given, but I do think John Moss is maybe trying to make up for it a wee bit. But again, brave call, 94th minute, right at the death, something that can change the title race to give it. So fair play to John Moss though for being brave. Scott, is it a point gained? Is it 2 dropped?
Point gained to 2 dropped. I think towards the end I was expecting a victory. And I felt sick again. I was, what's he done? And I'm just going back onto it a little bit, Gio. Carroll, he does these silly challenges. All he has to do is stay on his feet and watch him out, take him over to the corner flag, and that's what he did. And I thought we had that in the bag. What was it? I don't think they had another kick after that. What was it, like 30 seconds from the end? Sick.
I was right on the minute. I mean, there was 4 minutes added time. We gave the penalty on the 94 minutes and 1 second or something. Down went Schlupp, and the penalty was. Charlie, what about you? Do you feel a bit sick, or would you have taken a point before the game? I mean, looking at the whole 90 minutes, are you happy with the point?
Would I have taken a point? Yes. But I think that it's difficult not to say it's 2 points lost. I think that second half, once Vardy got sent off, I think it was ours. I think we had the players on the pitch to win it. We got the lead eventually. We were struggling to get there, but we flipping got there, and we shouldn't have let them. We shouldn't have let them even get that close to the box at that sort of time. We should have just been doing everything. And that was a centre back, the challenge wouldn't have been made. But unfortunately, it just happens that Carroll was the guy who happened to be there, and he didn't have the presence of mind, like Scott said, to just see him out. He makes a clumsy challenge. It's a penalty. That was ours. For me, it's 2 points lost, personally.
On Friday, I would have took a point. We're going to the league leaders, people who are the team that's probably going to win the league. They've had loads of clean sheets. I would have took a point. This morning, I wouldn't have because of yesterday's results. Yesterday's results were as worse as they could have possibly done for us, with the teams around us picking up points. I couldn't have accepted a point today, and I am disappointed. At the end of the day, we were against 10 men. We had a couple of big calls for the referee in our favour, and I think we failed to capitalise on that, whereas other teams have against us this season. They've capitalised on the referee's big decisions, and I think maybe we haven't. Scott, are we still in the hunt for the Champions League, or do you think today's shut the door on it a wee bit?
No, I think we're still in there. Will United carry on winning? No, they won't. They're going to cock up, and they proved it all season. They will cock up.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Man United are 5th, not 4th. There's City, Arsenal above them, as well as Tottenham and Leicester. Charlie, one player I'm going to pick on before we disappear is Dimitri Payet. What's going on with him? For me, he's really disappointing me today. He was off. He's not been himself for a few games now, I don't think. He's been very quiet. I'm not going to say we should drop him, but I think, to be honest, I think he needs to get off the wing. I think Bilic actually needs to get him off the wing and get him in the middle of the pitch and just let him do what he wants. But Charlie's not influencing games, is he?
I think you're not going to say you should drop him, but you are going to heavily imply it. I think that he's had a poor game today, undoubtedly, and we said at halftime something needed to change in the way he was because he just wasn't playing well enough, and the second half it continued much the same. The problem is when you come up against like a 4-4-2 when someone's out wide, it's so easy to double up on them, and it happened constantly. He just had nothing. There was nothing he could. When he gets doubled up on, he becomes quiet, and it's very difficult when he has no space. And that happened today, and he just was not good enough. I think what you said there is perfect. He does need to be moved back into the middle. Everyone was shouting it last time he was played out wide for a while. It's got to happen again. He has to be in the middle, and unfortunately, that's why I said I didn't want us to start with three defensive midfielders, because it just means we can't have someone there. And I think it's a shame because he's not the reason we're doing so well, but he can pull us to something that other players can't. And I think it's unfortunate that he's being shoved out wide and his effect on the game is minimalised because of it.
Well, it's man of match time then, Scott. Who are you giving your man of match to today?
Antonio. I like him. He's a grafter. He tries. I think if we threw a green jersey at him, I think he'd play in net for us. So Antonio.
Charlie, man of match, and reason why, please.
I agree, Antonio. He works incredibly hard, and even though he's playing at right back, he does his defensive duties, I think, to the best of his ability, which isn't great, but it's fine, I guess. But he still has the industry and drive, and somehow from right back still has the presence on the pitch to make things happen and drive us forward as a team. And I think that I constantly felt that when he was on the ball, something was going to happen. So probably Antonio for me as well.
It's the opposite pullback for me. World-class goal, and he was up against probably the player of the year, and that's the first game I've seen. I don't watch every Leicester game. I've seen him plenty, and that's the first time I've seen Mahrez do nothing in a game. Okay, he impacted Vardy's goal to an extent by doing the assist of the assist, but he didn't influence the game really much. Fair play, Ari Cresswell. You can't do better than that, so he gets my man of match. Anyway, we've been Hammers Chat. Do come and talk to us on the forum at hammerschat.com. Remember to subscribe, keep the subscriptions coming. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a like and feel free to comment as well. For all your latest West Ham news, it's clardandhugh.info. But do check our channel, because later tonight we will have the preview of the Watford game. And we will have a Rosette from Gonzo as well, giving you a weekly latest news roundup from West Ham United in conjunction with Clark and Hugh. But thank you very much for watching. It's been a disappointment for West Ham. Europa League, we're still on course.